Welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and we're on Rotation Station, where we talk about the decks that are currently very strong and popular, but facing the rotation coming up on October 5th. This is episode 2 of our series. Feel free to watch episode 1, where I answer more questions like, what is rotation? What does that mean? I'm going to assume you know those things as I get into this video. All right, number 1. What we're going to look at today are some control decks, some Teferi decks, some polarizing, anger-inducing things. Will they survive rotation? Will we get a reprieve from this? I don't think so. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody in advance. I don't think there's going to be a lot of good news here. But for those of you who play with the decks and do enjoy them, you're probably going to be just fine. Teferi's unlikely to go anywhere. Let's hit clone over here. This is, if you want to prepare for rotation, I suggest you clone your deck and make a rotation version, cutting all the cards from the sets that are coming out soon, or that are rotating out soon. Let's get into it. Let's dissect this baby, because some people have been saying to you, and to me, like blue-white control, no big deal. It's going. It's done. It's losing all the good cards. Let's see. This is the version I play right now. It's a little different, but not that different. I play 4 Anticipate because I am sick of getting mana screwed in Best of 1, and I think Best of 1 is the right place to play cards like Anticipate, Venturous Impulse very liberally, so that it just smooths out those draw. Smooth out that draw, my people. Make sure you have the right number of lands, right number of spells. Anyway, Seal Away stays. Anticipate stays. Scatter stays. Negate stays. Search for Azcanta stays. That's my whole 2-drop slot. We haven't cut a thing. Forsake the Worldly. Gotta go. Disallow. This is a big one. This card let blue decks do all kinds of things. They did not have to care. And I mean, they did not really have to care at all. They had to be they could be the honey badger. Give 0 pucks. You know what I mean? And if the opponent was ultimating their Chandra, disallow. If the opponent was cracking their Field of Ruin to blow up your Search for Azcanta, disallow. If the opponent had a Nezahal, the Primal Tide, and they used the trigger to exile it and were bringing it back, disallow. Just nothing. Eldest Reborn going off, disallow. Mirari Conjecture going off, disallow. Such a disgusting card that let the blue decks, even when they did have to tap out and you snuck something through, they could just disallow that trigger lately. Well, goodbye, disallow. Get out of here. Cast Out, another nice catch-all. It is gone. That is some good news. Cast Out, again, a very nice catch-all. So seeing that go is a blow. Glimmer of Genius, one of the better card draw spells in a long time. Getting you 4 deep at instant speed. That energy, just the icing on the cake. You gotta go. Commit, similar to the Cast Out. Good catch-all, gotta go. Torrential Gearhulk, gotta go. In the mana base, we've got Irrigated Farmland. Cycling lands are very good, and cutting them is going to hurt. But it's not like we're without replacements. We got Evolving Wilds. We've got Meandering River. And that's without anything from Ravnica yet. So there might be a proper land in Ravnica. You know, why do I do that? Why do I put in River when I know that Meandering... I know that Meandering will get me there. So the reason you'd run some Evolving Wilds and not all Meandering Rivers is because of Glacial Fortress. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a plains or island. Meandering River is not a plains or island like Irrigated Farmland was. So, yeah, there's good reason. All right, we get to keep Field of Ruin, but we also get to keep Memorial of Genius, which is a heck of a card. And with Glimmer of Genius rotating out, more card draw is going to be important. I think Memorial of Genius is going to have to step up in battle. Let's see, I think I can, I'm going to switch over to this view because I'm more used to editing this way. And I think I'm going to have to boost planes. Too many tap lands, but I think something like this, along with all its clean 2-ofness, For some reason, that speaks to my particular soul. And there we go. But what's missing? Well, 12 cards. Counter spells are missing. But there are definitely replacements of the counter variety. And one could argue very comparable. And that's Syncopate, which is something we can definitely put at least a few copies of in there. There is a bit of a nombo between Settle the Wreckage and Syncopate. Give the opponent lands, then Syncopate's no good. So you want this early. Late, it's a lot harder to make work. What else do we need? We need a win condition. Well, Teferi's win condition. Did you know that you can use Teferi to target itself to put itself back in the deck and just wait for the opponent to draw their whole deck and then you win? Yeah, I'm trying. I get that. I totally get that, Mr. Teferi know-it-all person. I just also, like many people in the community, find that to be pretty sleazebaggy. But I do have a card that was really just being held down, in my opinion, by Disallow. This is supposed to be the Mirror Breaker, but if you use the trigger and discarded 3 cards to exile it, the opponent could disallow the trigger when the Nezahal was returning to the battlefield, which made it like you discarded 3 cards for nothing. With that card gone, I strongly suspect that the time has come for the Elder Dino, Nezahal, the Primal Tide, to show us the teeth. I played this card a lot in Ixalan Block when Arena was under NDA. I couldn't stream it or record it, but I played it, and I played Ixalan Block only, and Nezahal was the finisher for my blue-black deck, and it was really, Control was so hard to play in that format, but this card was a standout. Awesome. And most people did not agree with me. Most people, when I posted about it, thought it was just bad. I can't support that theory. I think this card's a bomb. All right, what else are we looking for? We've got about 9 cards to worry about. And figuring out just sort of how to fill the spots. Cast Out is a really like all-purpose answer. It could tag everything. Do we have anything like that just tags everything? I mean, Teferi tags everything. Ixalan's Binding is still around, and so is Cleansing Nova. The problem with those cards is, of course, you have to tap out to play them. So I don't know if they fit in to the deck the way that Cast Out did and its instant speediness did. It's just made it very powerful. However, I don't think that you can. I don't think we can really go without some more like universal answers. So for now, I think Ixalan's Binding might get the try, but perhaps it just makes more sense to go all in on the counter strategy and keep it purely draw go. Let's look around at the rest of what's up here. Cleansing Nova. Yeah, it can be a catch-all. You don't want to blow up your own sealaways too much, or your own bindings. So I'll throw one in there for now, but I don't know for sure that you need it. It's one of those things where Settle is so good. Maybe it's not necessary to have that card as well. Say goodbye to Approach of the Second Sun, by the way. Anybody who's sick of that card is probably dancing. At least that's gone. But as long as Teferi's there, believe me, there's a deck. Blink of an Eye is a card that it sees like some fringe play. Sometimes it gets a lot of play in this archetype. It's sort of a catch-all. It's a bounce. And if you're going to play Blink, you better play more counters, because if you bounce something, you better be prepared to counter it on the way back down. It definitely makes sense to me, at least, to raise the count of Essence Scatters and Negates without Disallow in the house, and then you just have cheaper counters doing their job. Just kind of flipping through, looking for a few more fillers. You might have thought, hey, why didn't you do this ahead of time? Because I like to be surprised too. I like to go through the process of solving the puzzle right with you. At least that's how I like to frame it. Being without Glimmer, without that card draw, we also lose Hieroglyphic Illumination, pull from tomorrow. That's a little scary, and it makes me think that maybe the best solution is just to have a third search for Azcanta. But we already have 4 Anticipates that hopefully keep the right card in the right place at the right time. Another card that we could try is a Tezzeret, but Teferi's already there, doing so much good. I've really been thinking about this, and I think in the new format, Imbolus's Clutches might be one of the best all-purpose answers if the format gets slow enough for it to matter. The other thing that we could do is run a Nexus of Fate. And a Nexus of Fate just kind of ensures that we don't get decked by a Turbo Fog deck whose only win condition is Nexus of Fate. Although, what does that do? That kind of sets us in this place where we're playing these endless games. It's not really the life I want to lead. But, alas, it's hard to resist. Another card that could make the cut is the Compass. So this is a card that might actually get a little stronger with rotation with a Braid getting out of the mix. And maybe the format will slow down. That's unclear at this point if it will. But Spyglass and Compass are both 2 cards without a Braid in the format that could be competitive-ish. And I think it's worth trying a few of all of these. I'm going to cut back on the binding. We're just going to make it a 1 of. What else? I think I am going to remove the clutches. I'm going to keep a Nexus of Fate. No. Actually, I think I'm going to go a little down the rabbit hole of the Syncopate section. Instead of using Nexus of Fate to keep myself from being decked against Nexus of Fate, I'll just run 4 Syncopates and plan to get rid of those. And it makes... Look at this curve. Like, the curve is so low. It's amazing. Now, you might be saying, how do you make sure that you draw your 1 win con, the Primal Tide? Good question. In the block constructed, I had multiple search for Azcantas. Also, Spyglass doesn't work in this deck because we're naming Teferi or search most likely. So I will go up to a 3rd search. And here's what I was going to say. Search for Azcanta, you get through your deck and you kind of stack your deck because you put the cards back in any order. And you make sure that Primal Tide is as close to the top as possible. And then you set yourself up to draw your Primal Tide as early as you can. And then go on to win. Maybe we'll get a chance to show it. This is what I would play right out the gate. And let's go give it a try. Again, we're playing a rotation-proof deck, and we're going up against decks that have not rotated. I don't necessarily expect to win, I hope to learn. For example, do I need those Ixalan's bindings that bad that I'm willing to play them at sorcery speed? It's possible we just don't have enough catch-alls to deal with planeswalkers, artifacts, and enchantments. So let's see if that's an issue. Let's see if we run into that headache. Or if the Syncopates, Negates, if we can just keep them from never coming down to begin with. Yeah. Wait. Wrong deck. Wrong deck. No. Wrong deck. What's Disallow doing here? I grabbed the wrong deck. I did this last time I did this video. Learning curve. Learning curve. Shame me. Right now. Go ahead. Go in the comments. Type punt. This is how we do it on Twitch. Exclamation point punt to remind me when I royally screw up. Okay? Go ahead. Get down in those comments. Hit me. I deserve it. I deserve it. The pain, the embarrassment, the humiliation, it motivates me to do better. To be smarter. All right. Yeah. Strange, the last hand seemed better. Why was that? Oh yeah, Disallow's a good card. Yep. Here's something we wouldn't have to worry about. Those Bomat Couriers, I will not miss those. Oh my. Not a little bit will I miss a Bomat Courier. This card is such a headache, especially for control. And, you know, when you play double Bomat Courier and a Lava Runner, life is bad. We're just going to seal it away right now. Since it's almost down to 3 cards, and our opponent could be down to 2 or 1 card in hand by the next combat step, we have to seal away right now. Our hand is not bad. We have all the early interaction we could hope for. We don't have counters, though. And the weird thing about counters is if you don't get to counter things early, it's very hard to counter things late. Because if they're already on the board, the opponent can play around you. They can do all kinds of things with pressure. All right, let's... Again, we'll get rid of you, or try to. If they sack now, that would be a huge mistake. They need to wait till this targets. Okay. And they're sacking now. Oh, I get the Lava Runner now. They didn't have to let me have the Lava Runner. Also, they had a shock. Oh, they discarded an Abrade. Okay. I was going to say, if they had 2 cards in the graveyard. Anyway, don't worry about it. Not important. The lava is running. Ooh, I want to get that out, but it can wait. We're on an empty graveyard anyway. Rather than take this attack, let's just kicker this. Get a little deeper in the deck. Maybe wait for our opponent to play out more threats. They don't even play it. Okay. I think I'm just in a position to start throwing settles at anything that moves. Because our opponent surely is going to be burn psychotic. Yep, look at him go. A lot of shock. All 4 shock. A 4 set of shock, yep. Like I said, it's not pretty, but it's time to throw settles at anything that moves. And let's start digging for those negates, shall we? We're going to need them. Pyromancer. Well, I can't counter it. I could try to anticipate for an Essence Scatter. Miss. I'll grab the other Anticipate. Like I said, Settle is a bit of a nombo with Syncopate. It is what it is, friends. Oh, it is their last card, a Lightning Strike. I guess well, I really need Negate, but it's hard to turn down a Teferi. I just turned down a Teferi. The Primal Tide! I don't really want to settle this. But I don't feel like I have a choice. I could bury it with Teferi. If the opponent has another removal spell or something like that, they might kill Teferi, but
I'm known
yeah,
for my
I think we have to bury it.
You need to slow down.
See if we make it through the turn. Mountain off the top, lucky me. There's the Negate.
Hurry!
Alright, we're untapping 2 lands, so get out there, Dino. Now, next turn, we have to have plenty of Syncopate mana available. Ooh. So much value in a Chain Whirler. But yeah, we have to counter this. Have to. Yeah. Late, but it does do the job.
Keep up the pace.
I'm gonna do this right here, right now. Start piling up on our some counters and removal. Definitely don't need 2 Syncopates at a time in your hand, so I'll grab the Seal Away. And let's start attacking. Should be in the bag. That's kind of our opponent's Hail Mary there, the Pyromancer. Slap it with an Essence Scatter. I'm sure their last card's a land, so they've had a kind of a sad draw. Yeah, it's not a burn spell. We saw the Chain Whirler. We know they drew the Pyromancer. They had an opportunity to burn us to death if they had it. So this is a safe window for a search for Azcanta. We'll grab more negates.
No time for a break.
Get him. And all the negates. You will not burn me. You will not burn me. You will not touch me. You shall never touch me. Yeah, the lands keep coming in hot. I'll just say my turn. It is nice to have no maximum hand size, though, with the Nezahal. When you're going off with Teferi and Azcanta.
You know what? I'm not done yet.
You get your own reliquary tower. And they've seen enough. So there's your first taste of a post-rotation blue-white, and man, do they have a lot of cheap answers to a lot of things, as well as the mighty Settle and the hard-to-deal-with Nezahal. All right, let's move on to a different deck, but one that makes blue-white look very friendly, in my opinion, in comparison. Turbo Fog. Let's do it up. Again, this will be kind of the bad news rotation station. I expect to go through a lot of decks on rotation station series. Let me know what decks you most want to see get the rotation station treatment. Like here at the end, we're going to do Turbo Fog, and then I'm going to show you a Sultai Midrange post-rotation deck that I worked on for a viewer. But just so you know, we're kind of tearing off a band-aid here, doing blue-white and control and Turbo Fog together. And even if you hate these decks, know the enemy. Know the enemy. If you start thinking about how those decks are going to evolve now, you can start thinking about how to beat those new versions of the decks right now. So let's go into Rotation Turbo Fog and let's tear it to bits. What happens to this deck when we rotate? What does it lose? Well, right off the bat, Anticipate's in. Chart of Course in. Search is in. Haze of Pollen. We finally found something to cut. Root Snare is in. Nissa is out. Gift of Paradise is out but in, and what I mean is the Amonkhet Gift of Paradise rotates, but they reprinted it. For those who didn't know, there it is in M19. Come on. I didn't want to have to scroll over every time, so it's right back in there. Easy frickin' peasy. Karn, still here. Settle, still here. Teferi, still here. Nexus, still here. Spring, you out, but I don't think you were that crucial. All right, let's go over here. Let's work the mana a little bit. Let's switch this back over. All right, the Glacial Forts are in, but the farmlands are out. The Scatter Groves are out, but we keep all these check lands. All these check lands stay, and we can replace the others with Evolving Wilds, as you've seen me doing in all the dual, like the multicolored decks. I just get some Evolving Wilds in there, and then there you go. Maybe we get some Field of Ruin. Get that in there, something like that. How are we doing on land? 24. A few more sources, I guess. Do we want to raise the basic count? Is there some other land that can produce the mana colors that we need? We could run Arch of Urazka, but I don't think it's very necessary. Detection Tower, not necessary when you're the Fog deck. I've seen some versions with a Hostile Desert, but without the cycling lands, that doesn't make sense. How about Scavenger Grounds? I don't even know what I'm Scavenger Grounding. Maybe I'm just supposed to play a few Scry lands. Although in a 3-color deck, that seems greedy AF. I think I'd play with a mana base very similar to this for now and see where it goes. I'm going to raise the plains count and the island count, and there. So there's our 26 mana base, along with the Gift of Paradise. So there's only 6 cards, my friends. 6 cards. 4 of them were fogs. And the deck can just kind of grow up, be an adult, and run Settle the Wreckage, and still be absolutely obnoxious to deal with. What else are we missing? I guess we cut some win cons, so maybe we Karn up a little harder. Maybe you put in an Oath of Teferi, because that card is pretty good. It's unclear how good it'll be in a new meta if there's like easy to find enchantment hate, but even then, people don't want to do that to an Oath of Teferi. And we could run a 4th Shard, of course, and by God, looks like the deck's done. The green is only right now for Gift of Paradise and Root Snare, but those are important elements for sure. So another thing is we're still on 0 interactivity, 0 catch-alls, aside from Teferi. So maybe what we should be running, instead of all the Charter courses and Anticipates, is some Ixalan's Binding. Just to have something to take out Sorcerer's Spyglass, to have something to take out just the little things that get annoying. And maybe Negate can also be in the deck, because I'm just anticipating like other control matchups and things like that. Maybe it's not a good play. Maybe it's not a good look. But maybe it is. Maybe I'll try it with like 1 Binding, 1 Negate, see how it plays. So what's missing? So those easy universal answers that you could sometimes run, like a cast out, Supreme Will gives you a counter without being a counter. Commit gives you an out against all that funky stuff like Sorcerer's Spyglass that I guess Ixalan's Binding is trying to fill. But for the most part, you're looking at a very similar deck. The mana base got a little rougher, but it still has a ton of lands and Gift of Paradise for fixing. So I'm not sure how rough this really is. Let's go take it out. Give it a spin. See what happens. Changing the deck first. Did it. Fog haters, have your pitchforks, but do something constructive with your complainy time and try to look for where the weaknesses are. How can we do better? If you want to beat the fog, know the fog. Ooh, all right. I'm scrying for a land. I've got 26 of them. It makes sense. Yep, got there. And then we need to find a green so we can gift on time. And I'm going to anticipate. I'll just do it now. Don't want to take any chance getting it countered. Oh, I have green. It's white I don't have. So I guess I'll just grab Harbor. Hit the next land drop. Play the gift. Teferi the opponent. Live forever. Interesting. Let's see what our opponent's up to. Maybe? I see blue and I see red and I think wizards, but it might be like a pure counter deck, which would be an interesting game. And it looks like that's what it may be. 3 settles is a lot. If these were 3 Haze of Pollens, woo, I love that. If these were 3 Haze of Pollens, at least we'd have a cycling option. So there is some weakness into being a Settle the Wreckage deck now. All right, let's launch our Gift of Paradise, see if it gets negated as well. Opponent feeling very aggressive about what they counter. Really doesn't like Gift of Paradise. That surprises me some. But, yeah. Let's go for a search. We're just trying to draw all the counter magic now. Okay. Interesting. Makes me wonder if Teferi is going to resolve. Because I would definitely counter this before I'd counter a Gift of Paradise. There's no question. But our opponent is sitting on a Field of Ruin. Gilded Lotus. Okay. So we're something funky. See what happens. All right. We can redraw it next turn. Maybe our opponent's going to memory. They're going to cycle the suns. They're one of the faster manual tappers I've ever seen, so I don't mind as much. They're a Primal Amulet. Okay. Well, we graveyard you. Transform you. Draw. See if the opponent had the answer. They do not. Plus,
Trust me. You'll thank. We need
we
to
could
move
bury
quickly.
the amulet, but I don't trust my opponent to go off next turn. If I'm wrong, I am happy to lose. I deserve it. Not only that, I would kind of like to see my opponent go off, since this is a very... Our opponent's doing something very different and probably cool. I also could have Field of Ruin to my opponent's Field of Ruin right there. Arguable, I should have. But I'm confident I'll find another Search for Azcanta. We run more than most. Alright, Nexus of Fate. My plan is in my hand. It's also interesting that my opponent is a combo deck with so much, like, control. So it's got to be some kind of a control deck that wins from a combo-y angle. Maybe a Banefire to Infinity type thing. Yep. Looks fun. And we drew the Negate. Ouch. The one of Negate might be just paying off here. Yeah, it's fine. You don't have a graveyard. And I have a field. So can we take all the turns? Probably. Probably. I guess I go for it now. I could do it in the end step, but this way at least let's find out if our opponent has a counter right now. And I just have to make sure I leave blue up, right? Yeah, that's going to happen. Auto tap is not as dumb as some people would say. Negate your negate. Yeah, another? Scoops! Yep. Damn you, Turbo Fog! Is it really Turbo Fog if we're just down to the Root Snares? That was a pretty quick game, but you get the idea. I don't want to wear out my welcome and run Turbo Fog into the ground. Just hasn't changed very much, and is probably going to, honestly, sorry to say, be one of the contenders coming out of Dominaria. We're gonna, or not Dominaria, going into Guilds of Ravnica. So we're gonna have to see some pretty specific hate and ways to deal with it. In Arena Best of One, where it's the most toxic because there aren't sideboards to kind of make your deck better against it, I feel like we have to come to a place as a community where playing cards like Negate and Duress becomes a more normal practice. And I think that if you're not running something that gets impacted by Sorcerer's Spyglass, like you're not running Teferi yourself, that's a card you should also be considering running. Ixalan's Binding too. Like, ways that disrupt mainly the Teferi. The Teferi is the core of the deck. The Nexus gets a lot of press, but the Teferi is really the thing. You got to keep this from hitting the battlefield or minimize the damage when it does. So I promised that for one more look on this Rotation Station video, we're going to talk about a Sultai deck. One of my subscribers on Twitch, by the way, if you pay $4.99 to subscribe on Twitch, or you donate $5 US to my tip page on Twitch, or if you cheer 500 bits on Twitch, I will do whatever you want me to do with a deck of your choice one day. So if you so this is a subscriber, one of my subscribers, $4.99 subscribers, asked me to work on a Sultai midrange deck that would work in post-rotation. And this is what I worked on. And it was a bit enlightening about just what the format looks like post-rotation when you take out a lot of kind of these high-impact, high-velocity Kaladesh and Aether Revolt and Amonkhet cards. The midrange decks, you can just revolve around all these 2-for-1s, all these like utility creatures. Exclusion Mage, Thrashing Brontodon, Ravenous Chupacabra, Hostage Taker. Then we have the Planeswalkers like Karn and Vivian Reed and Vraska, Relic Seeker. We have a Carnage Tyrant in there. Then, like, the real killer is 4 Eldest Reborn. This is a deck that wants to spam Eldest Reborn. So much so that it has Search for Azcanta because it has 20-some spells And remember, you can get Planeswalkers and the Eldest Reborn off of your search for Azcanta. And it's just so grindy. The pace is very methodical. And then what a lot of people don't expect, our cheap removal is so bad. Cast Down comes to mind, but I'm expecting a lot of legends and a lot of legendaries floating around. So I don't really want to rely too much on Cast Down. But blue has Essence Scatter, which is like, suddenly it's among the best 2-mana removal spells along with Seal Away. And Negate, it just seems like you always want to be running this these days. You can't just have a deck cold to Turbo Fog or Settle the Wreckage. It seems like you just have to be dropping a spell like this pretty often. So this is the deck I came up with. It's actually really fun to play, and I've been enjoying it. Post-rotation Sultai. The Arch of Orazca, I don't know if it needs. This deck hasn't run out of gas on me, but I'm not taking out just yet because I want to get a little more action from my mana base. The mana base is particularly boring with the rotation coming up, to be honest. Without the cycling lands, it's hard to play that many lands without running into trouble. But let's go play one game with the Sultai deck for something a little different, not just teching out existing top tier decks, but maybe working on something that could be new and see how this colors shape up. If any of you would like to take the $5 route, you can subscribe to me on Twitch or donate to my tip page, which I guess I can put a link to that as well. If for $5, you can tell me what deck to work on and to doctor up, and you can make it a post-rotation deck if you wish. It's important that you remember to tell me to make it post-rotation. If you just say, make me a green-black midrange deck, I will make you a green-black midrange deck with current cards. If you say, make me a green-black midrange deck post-rotation, or a rotation-proof green-black midrange deck, I will not use cards from Kaladesh and Hour of Devastation and Amonkhet. And Aether Revolt. I will make you a deck that will be good to go in the new standard on October 5th. So that's just an offer. I've never extended it to YouTube before. It's always been a thing I did on Twitch, honestly, because I just never thought to mention it, which is my bad, in case there's anybody out there who wants that service. But that's I'll leave a link to the tip page. You should also join the Discord, and in the Discord, you should send me that message. Don't leave it in YouTube comments. I don't check those or catch all of those. I read them, but I often read them on my iPad upstairs, away from my computer. So I would hate to read it and then forget that I read it, okay? I said read it. So do we want Branchy, or do we want to be ready for this gift? Because we could go get a black source right now. I'm trying to think of what's best against Grixis. I think what's best against Grixis is Carnage Tyrant. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go get a black source, fall a little behind on board, but get Carnage Tyrant going. So yeah, if you want to commission a deck, you should get on the Discord and let me know about it. And make sure to mention if you want that sucker post-rotation or not. All right. Two Glint-Sleeve Siphoners is a big problem, and that whole energy mechanic, of course, will be dying in Kaladesh. And this highlights the problem I've already seen with the deck, and that I'm confident I'll continue to see with my post-rotation series and decks. 2-mana removal. Like black, it just ain't what it used to be. And our opponent is on an absolute beating of a curve. Yeah, Chupa's not bad. Does something. Eldest Reborn, though. I think I just want to get this going as fast as possible. And start the comeback grind. I figured my opponent would give up a Siphoner. But it's arguable they're better. Ah, yes, there you go. Yep, they want more cards. So, Glint Sleeves coming in, no surprise. They're drawing 2 cards a turn, they're beating for 4. The clock is swift. There is the Liliana.
Good news, everyone. I've arrived. I brought back an old friend.
So what has to be discarded? At this point, it's the Scatter. Let's make you discard a card. We could play the Carnage Tyrant, but I don't think we can race this. So I'm feeling Chupa Yo Ravager. The question is also, what am I going to get from the Reborn? Maybe I should have discarded Carnage Tyrant so I could get that. But yeah, I think I'll get my opponent's Ravager. If they tick up Liliana, they may also give me another Reborn type target. But yeah, this is the way that the Grixis draw. This is what they want to play every game. I mean, they basically drew it up perfect. Scarab God, I'm having so much fun. They drew it up perfect for this game.
Nothing is more loyal than the dead.
Uh-huh. Another Cheapadoopa. Let's go get your Bolus. How is these graveyards? I guess he does have... The opponent does have something they can get. So... I'm trying to think if I want to, like, use my mana to Field of Ruin here, what that does. I'm a little short on black sources, but I won't be after this. Yeah, I'll just go here. There is something to be said for flipping Bolus on our side of the battlefield, but it would come back... Since you exile it and then return him to the battlefield, it would go to the opponent, so that's a terrible idea. I'm sure our opponent's final cards at least include a Vraska's Contempt. Oh, okay. More Scarab Gods. Must be nice. So the main thing I got is, like I said, we can't really be all about winning. We can't expect to beat full-on Pro Tour decks with 4 of the best sets in recent memory, especially Kaladesh. But the main thing for sure is that this format's going to get slower, which means we can reevaluate without seeing guilds. Guilds might change that, but without reevaluating. We have to reevaluate like the 6 drops, the 7 drops, the 8 drops, and such. Things like that. Let's go kill Liliana, shall we? Maybe not the 8 drops, but 6s and 7s I think are worth reevaluating, because if most decks are as slow as this and the other decks I played, we'll get to play them more often. So that's really encouraging. Now I know very well that this is going to go to my opponent, so I've had emotes disabled because I played somebody who was spamming a lot. So we're going to say good game to our opponent, and we're going to flip this Nicol Bolas back over to them for the lulz.
The multiverse is at my disposal.
So yeah, slower format though. I look forward to that. Midrange hasn't been very playable. Maybe it will be now. Of course, Turbo Fog is really nasty to midrange, so midrange will have to come up with solutions to blue-white control and Turbo Fog. Not an easy job, and it may be time to figure out all kinds of like Carnage Tyrant and Duress shenanigans. Those two teamed up seem like the best thing to me for combating the blue-white deck. And as far as combating the Turbo Fog deck, I'm thinking Negate, Sorceress, Spyglass, Duress again. Carnage Tyrant isn't nearly as important against Fogs and Settle the Wreckage, so you need a way to win the game outside of the combat step. So again, if the format's slower, maybe Banefire is the answer. Maybe Red-Green Dinos actually gets to shine a little bit. And maybe we'll come visit that deck on the rotation station. All right, I'm going to call the episode for the day. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope we learned something either about how to build the control or beat the control. And let me know what decks you want to see me talk about in the rotation station. I think it should be a weekly series up until October 5th. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, all of the things. Join the Discord. It's free. And I will see you in a future video. Have an awesome Labor Day weekend, and we'll be back on Labor Day, the American holiday Labor Day, Monday, for a second tier video. All right, see you later.